welcome to our summer podcast series. I'm Deb. I'm the founder and CEO of RoomPlays. I just wanted to, we kicked off our summer podcast series as an opportunity for you all to get to know some of our most fabulous designers from so many different parts of the world. RoomPlays is a platform that empowers women, freelance and upcoming interior designers, as well as experienced and talented professional interior designers to sort of set up their business and have an opportunity to meet with clients all over the world and work with them to beautify their homes. So for today, we're going to talk about all things authentic, immersive, and holistic with Sarah from Urban Savvy Designs. She's joining us from South Africa, and I'm just going to let her in.
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, so good to see you.
Same to you.
Thank you.
It's lovely to be face to face for a change, not only over the phone and on email.
I know. Remember the first time we tried to chat, it was over WhatsApp versus like all these other things. It was hilarious.
The electricity's off, Deb, just hold on. Wi-Fi's going, kids in the background. If we could make that conversation work, then this one should flow.
You think? Yes, I think so too. So first tell me, where you're joining us from, what's it like right now, where you're at?
I'm joining from South Africa in a really small little rural town in the Eastern Cape. Peaceful compared to the rest of South Africa, I'm not gonna lie. We're in the middle of winter. So for us, it's freezing cold. I think you guys are summer now.
Yeah, it's 70 degrees outside. Yeah,
we're like -5.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and the audience here today. We can dive right in. I'm just dying to learn, and for our folks to learn more about you. You have such a unique, holistic, immersive approach, and I would love to learn more about you and your background and everything that's brought you here.
Great. I think my approach to interior design has taken a few years to formulate, and that's only because I've taken a few years to grow up. I have always been involved in personal development and spirituality, and I think you always arrive at a point where authenticity and spirituality and actually your values in life are really going to leave no stone unturned. It's going to flip over every aspect of your life. And I started finding that coming more and more into my work. And I think I started attracting clients and really beautiful people who were begging for not just a home, but a home that suited, I'll say, even deeper than their lifestyle, their values, their core values. So they were talking to me about, how do I design homes around connection and establishing strong bonds in my family relationship, and that really took me into the deep dive of looking at energy within a home, the psychology of how interior design affects how we think, how we feel, how we interact, which I suppose was also just an extension really of where I'd come from on a theoretical background. And then I started implementing it on a more practical level. So my background started off in interior design, and then I jumped into architecture, and I focused heavily on sustainability, green buildings, and then moved into finishes and specifying finishes, but mainly for hospitals and frail care facilities, which was a highly specialized area of design. And really designing spaces for well-being, because it's a hospital, it's an old age home, it's schools for deaf children. And I think the common thread was always around design with a difference. Whether it was green architecture or designing buildings that had an impact on healing, the thread was always making the world a better place through design. And then came full circle back into interior design, which was fun. And I did like wine farms and hotels and tented banqueting halls, and it was incredible. But what I was missing was being involved with the people that use the space. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I've gone back into residential design, and that I've been doing again for the last 5 years.
Wow, wow. Firstly, thank you so much for walking us through all of that. I mean, your experience and your passion really comes through as you're talking through it. I mean, personally, for me, I cannot resonate more. I personally went when I was quite young, I not quite young, but I went through a divorce a few years ago. And one of my, when you go through difficult times in life, one of the things that you try to find things that you can control because there's so many things that outside of your control. And your
Yeah.
home is the one thing, your home and your environment is the one thing you feel you can control. And personally, for me, that's really why I started taking to like making sure like, your home is more than just where you live. It's a place where you feel your strongest and your best self. And if there's someone, if you don't have the skills to create that environment for you, if I wish I'd met you because I think, I think people, I mean, I think that I don't have words anymore, but I really feel like I would have really benefited had I worked with someone like you back then when there's a lot. And even right now, like it's COVID, people are still going through a lot personally. And I know interior design is likely not top of everyone's mind, but there's so much power that comes by working in a space that you can call your own, especially with so much time that you're spending at home. What has your approach been, honestly, COVID and the whole playbook kind of turning upside down, honestly?
I don't think I've ever been so useful to so many people. You
Yeah.
know, all your friends suddenly start phoning you. They've never wanted to use your services before until they're stuck at home for a couple of
Yeah.
months and everything about their home is driving them crazy. And then suddenly everyone's on the phone. How do I redesign my lounge? How do I,
Yeah,
you know? And I think,
exactly.
they're different. I mean, design is such a broad field as well. There's the decor aspect, and then there's also spatial planning, which is the actual layout of your furniture, and there's massive science behind that. And even if you don't have like an insane budget to buy like R1 million decor pillow, very often just rearranging furniture makes a place more functional, more user friendly,
Yeah,
and it can
absolutely.
really be such a small change. And I think that's what COVID saw, was just our homes became our offices, our schools, our playgrounds, our gyms. Like
Yeah.
suddenly everything had to be housed in this one space. So it
Yeah.
was like spatial planning became hugely important. How do we all
Yeah.
navigate our homes?
Yeah.
And very often the smallest solutions make the biggest differences.
Biggest difference.
That,
I agree.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
like
know.
you'll never notice good design. You'll only notice bad design because it irritates you.
Yeah, actually
Always.
that's such a good point. And I agree. I think a lot of people think about interior design as this massive new project and that you need to be either a new homeowner or you need to be mentally ready for a big change. And it's really
Yeah.
not about that. Like that's where I think designers can bring magic and actually help you save money by firstly by leveraging like the materials that you already have in-house and like swapping out a handful of items. So I think there's a lot of skill that you guys bring, and I'm always every time I talk to each of our designers, I feel like I'm learning every time I speak to you all. So appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Absolutely.
um, so I thought like maybe let's dig in a little bit more into your process. So when a client approaches you, what experience can they expect? Questions, journey, like what's that experience like for a client?
An interesting one. No, to go back to what you said earlier on about going through a divorce, and then your home becomes such an important part. So one of the things that I realized when I went through a separation was also exactly that. Even though I'd always been quite house proud and pedantic, there's a very different shift. Whenever you're going through any form of crisis, you need a sanctuary. You
Yes.
need a place where
Yes.
you feel safe. And suddenly that also got me thinking about, we hear home is the story of who you are. my home is the story of who I was, but it is also the sanctuary of everything that I am still becoming. So your home becomes that expressive point between those two worlds, who I was and who I am also becoming. So yeah, my home really, and I think a lot of my clients' homes really need to be that foundation, that sanctuary, that place of nurturing that allows them the safety to blossom and bloom. So my process really starts at the point of asking my clients, what is the vision for your life? Have you done a vision board? So not a mood board, not a concept board. Have you done a vision board? You know, and the vision board is everything. What size pants do I want to wear? What food do I want to eat? What do I want my home to look like? What do I want my friendships to look like? It encompasses the vision of your entire life. And then from that, we extract, this is how your home comes out of that. And then you distill that into the concept board, the mood board. And then I say, hold the vision, trust the process. Because as we design, you know, there's always, I don't like this, I do like this, can we change this? That's too expensive. Just then have the vision of where your home is also going to take you. Yeah. And then what's also really important for me in the process is the interview, sort of the questionnaire and the interview consult that we would have. Like, I love getting in deep with clients because there's a lot that's playing out in our decision-making process that we're not even aware of. And we don't understand why we like certain things and why we don't. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I'm noise sensitive. Like, if you want to stress me out, put noise around me. Okay. And there's a very obvious reason in my history. I grew up with a deaf brother. So there was a massive focus on quiet in the home and focused communication. So noise is extremely stressful. And that really impacts how many rugs I have in my home, how many, like the floor material I have. Like, don't give me a stiletto on a tiled floor. Just don't. So there are a lot of things that come into our design choices that we're not aware of. And then the client may not realize that. So you ask them the question framed in a way, what is your favorite restaurant? Why? And you'll often find they'll say things to you, I like this restaurant because I can still talk to everyone. There's a sense of connection and I love the music, but I can still communicate with the people that, you know. So there's a lot that we reveal about ourselves in general conversation. It's just really listening to what your client says. And then distilling that into, okay, so connection is really important. Background noise needs to be dimmed. What materials would I use in that home to give them that feeling of connection with background noise? So asking those questions are very important. They're very revealing, actually.
Wow, that's actually beautiful. I think, you know how like today, I mean, not to judge, you know, how different styles have, like these tagged styles have evolved. There's the mid-century modern, and then there's the, you know, and everybody is just bucketing themselves into one or the other. But what I'm learning is honestly, like, your home is not about, and where you live is not about quote unquote mid-century modern. It's about you. It's really about you. And there's so many elements. You can't bucket yourself in one of 16 styles. And I think that's what I'm learning is an algorithm is not going to tell you what your style is, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a confession. I'm also a bit of a perfectionist. So when I was designing my own, like in my earlier design years, like when I was in my 20s, I think, and I wanted to be one style because that's great. It fits in a box and you go to one shop and that's amazing. And I used to get so stressed out about it. I used to ask my designer friends to come in and design my home. And it was like this utter breakthrough of like, I'm not one design style. And that was where I was creating this immense distress for myself when I was trying to design my own home, because I was trying to force myself into something that I actually wasn't. And no one is. Like, we're
Yeah.
incredibly dynamic human beings,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
always going to be a blend of styles.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And I feel
And
like
it's great.
style, no, and I think that's why like the usage of like design style is it's almost deceiving because you're not creating for a style, if you may, you're really creating for like your personality and your, it's so much
Yeah.
deeper than style, right? I mean, I think I'm so glad you walked us through it because I think I'm trying to find more ways to bring that to light, right? Because one of the biggest advantages of working directly with one of the designers on RoomPlays is, if you are fortunate to get time with someone like you who really is invested in the client's success. You're not just trying to get a project out. You're not just trying to fit into a style and get a few mood boards out and buy furniture. You genuinely want to invest in their peace of mind, their growth, their longevity, honestly, in the space that they want to live. I think that's what we're trying to enable. We're just trying to enable those connections so that you get to meet the type of person that really will be a best fit for you.
And I think that's why these sort of meetings, are also great. People get a
Yeah.
feel of who you are before they've even sent you an email. Because
Yeah.
it actually is like speed dating in a way. You're in a relationship with
Yeah.
a client for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
You're walking into their intimate space, their life and their home.
Yeah.
But they're also walking into yours. Like, my
Yeah.
creativity is like my lifeblood. That's my intimate space. So if my client and I aren't in a sort of gracious dance within that relationship, we're actually offending each other's like intimate spaces,
Yeah.
And then the project
Love
just
it.
never seems to have the same feel to it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I'm in that rhythmic dance with a client, like, instant success on a project every
Yeah.
single time. Like, I will never understand the formula as to how it works. There's a magic that happens when you guys are in rhythm and flow. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You just have to be speaking the same language. I'm
Wow.
invested in the vision of my life, and something
I'm,
comes out of it.
I mean, I can feel like I'm already like I feel like I'm immersing into like this. There's like I mean, you're in South Africa. I'm here in California, and like we're literally talking in public on Instagram. But I mean, I
I've
already
forgotten
feel like
about
we're
that.
right. I feel like I was vibing with you, and I think that's what matters. I mean, that's what dating is. That's what relationships are. And I think if you're gonna design something that I'm gonna live in for the rest of my life or for like many years to come, that
Yeah,
level of connection is important for you to meet me
very,
where I am. Yeah, I
very,
love it, Sarah.
very
Love it. Oh,
great.
love it. Um, so I know we talked a lot about like different things. So how about we maybe talk a little bit about the fact that, there's so many aspiring interior designers as well as traditional interior designers who are hesitating to pivot online to help clients more globally. What has your approach been? I mean, I'm sure interior design has traditionally been a very offline, in-person model, which I am sure there's no replacement to that, right? So I do want to acknowledge some of the what you get when you actually get to meet someone in person and walk into their home and so on. But
Yeah.
tell me about what's your approach and recommendation for folks who are thinking about virtual interior design?
Okay, so I've shifted out of in person mainly because of the pandemic, and I don't think that you necessarily lose the intimacy. Just that was actually one of my fears, that I'm going to go into like a factory and just produce designs, and I was like, is this really where my career has come to? And that hasn't been my experience. But I'm deeply grateful that I spent many years on site, because what that did give me was almost the powers of observation. So even while I'm consulting with you now, or a client, I've already, okay, you've got a pot plant in the back, I see you've got a vase on your shelf. It's like, as you're talking and explaining, I'm looking for every
Observing.
minor detail in you know, in the shot. I ask you to walk around the room so that I can get a feel for the space. You know, tip your camera up, tip your camera down, you know, and like, I mean, the poor clients like running around, like flashing bits of their wall and their skirting. But every little detail of a space is important. And as long as they're willing to work with your crazy and show you all the details,
Yeah.
you don't actually miss out on seeing all of those elements in a space. And
Awesome.
that I'm grateful for, because I felt like if you remove being able to see the details, you might remove the quality of the design.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. As I said, as long as us as designers are intimately observing the space as we're talking to the clients, there are a lot of details that we get. And I think technology is just, I'm super excited where technology is going now.
Yeah.
Like, we're able to offer our clients not only 3D renders, but like complete walkthroughs. So designing an entire home, they can walk through with the mouse and go into bedrooms, you know.
Yeah.
So you get to literally, it's like modern day Barbie, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're in your home, and the next step is like VR goggles, and
Yeah.
you know, like, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So it's becoming really immersive as well, just from a
Yeah.
technological point of view, which is super exciting. Yeah.
It's fantastic. How do you, I mean, it must, you know, like with all of us, I think there's a lot of positives that technology has brought, but there's also a lot of keeping up. Has that been a challenge? How do you handle and keep up with, I guess, what is necessary? You don't need to keep up with everything, but whatever you found has been necessary.
I mean, I think there are just so many, you know, mood board apps and 3D design. There are so many programs that we can use as designers. And I've tried a few of them out, and a lot of them are great. I think my advice to any new or old designer, and again, I have to give myself this advice all the time, use what works for you.
Of
Use what
course.
works. Yeah. Use what
Absolutely.
works in a way that feels comfortable to you, streamlines your process, and then gives your client the deliverables that they're expecting. Because we can get quite lost in technology, and then it becomes quite a stressful thing. You know, you've got 100 apps and you're like, which one do I use and how does this work? And it then becomes a stressful process. So find what works for you. And that also gives you the look and the feel that resonates with who you are and what it is that you're trying to put out there. I mean, it's you, it's your company, you know, and not all apps and design programs are going to do that for you, as great as they are. Yeah.
And honestly, all of them are ultimately presentation tools. The skill is within you. It's a matter of, as long as you're able to deliver to the client, this is how you need to set up your place, whether it's a 3D render or even a concept board, like whatever it is, like the skill is still within you. Those are just presentation tools, right?
Yeah, that's another great way of explaining it, you know. Yeah, fabulous, Deb.
Wonderful. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but maybe one little thing I want to chat about was, how do people find you on RoomPlays, and what are your services that people can avail on RoomPlays?
So the services that I've put on RoomPlays, I put on a lovely mentorship course as well. If there is anyone who is wanting to design and learn how to design their own space.
Amazing. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
And I think that's one of the things that women specifically doubt their own creativity, always. And once they start and they're guided, they somehow tap into this like beautiful resource of creativity, and they can actually learn the basic principles of design. So that's really about empowering women, not to design, I think just to tap into their own creativity. That's already there. So there's that service, and then there are a few living room, bedroom, dining rooms, you know, kitchen, just refreshers if we're needing just a medium fix up. And then I've got again, the same set of services, but if we're needing like a total renovation, so completely new furniture, we're going to paint, hang curtains, like everything needs to be redone. So almost like the half renovation, decoration, and then the fuller renovations. And then what I have also done, because I know a lot of people live in open plan spaces, or they want to create open plan spaces if they're living in a flat, was combining 2 rooms, so kitchen and dining, or living and dining, because very often those are open plan spaces. So if we'd like harmony to flow through, then there are the 2 or 3 space options as well.
Fantastic. I'm so excited. Firstly, I'm glad you walked us through all of that, because sometimes it's hard for people to understand that as outsiders, people who don't know the details of the process, you know, the difference between like the half renovation versus the full renovation, like full gutter renovation types. I think I'm glad you explained that. And the mentorship course, I am so excited. I hope people are listening and, you know, like, please tap into it. We'll link everything that links to Sarah's profile. You can directly go on the website and book her service now if you want to learn about designing your space yourselves. But really, Sarah, like, since I know it's already late in the evening for you, so I sincerely appreciate you spending the time with us and the whole audience.
Pleasure.
We're going to be sharing this wide every day as much as we can. Like, this is one of the most, I do want to thank you. I feel so sort of elevated, and I feel like I learned a little bit more about, you know, why we're doing this. Every time, you know, as an entrepreneur myself and as a woman entrepreneur, there's just so many things we do doubt ourselves, and we keep wondering, are we adding enough value? Are we doing enough? And just these conversations just give me that conviction that this is why we're doing this. This is meant to bring light and empower the talented people like you, bring them in front of the rest of the world. So thank you so much for taking the time to meet us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Deb.
Fantastic. Say hi to the kids, and we'll chat soon.
Definitely. Okay. Bye, Deb.
Bye.